Before we get started today, I want to say thank you for every single like, comment, recommendation, and a very special thank you to my listener support group. If you like what we do here at Off the Deep End Podcast, please consider checking out the listener support tab on our channel's anchor link. Without you, we would not be able to continue the great work we're doing with these conversations, breaking down boundaries and helping heal each other by sharing our stories, our trials, our tribulations, and how we process them. Let's jump straight into this episode.
Are you thinking about making a podcast? Spotify has a platform that lets you make one, and if I can figure it out, you definitely can too. You can create your own content all in one place for free with zero hangups and even earn money as soon as you get started. Spotify lets you record and edit episodes from your phone or computer so you can go mobile, just like I enjoy to do. My favorite thing about it is that you can create video episodes if you wish and upload them to wherever podcasts are heard. You can even set up subscriptions or, if you're like me, listener support options for listeners to help you grow. I 10 out of 10 recommend the Spotify for Podcasters app. Or, why don't you just step over to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started on your own podcast. What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Off the Deep End Podcast. I'm joined today by a very special individual. Her life journey is full of trials, tribulations, and now triumphs. So I'm so excited to share. These are my favorite stories to share with the world. As always, this conversation is meant to inspire you to reach the own peaks of your own mountains. And I hope that you take away from this conversation as much as I'm going to. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me here. I'm excited.
Excellent. Me too. Well, let's start with the nitty and the gritty. What was it like for you growing up?
Growing up was rough. I was born in California, was in Washington, and from age maybe 2 to 11, I'd say. And then I moved back to California to stay with my dad. Basically lived with him my whole entire life and never had a relationship with my mom. When I was 11, moving back to California from Washington, my dad's grandma had passed away. So we went out there to live in Buena Park, and everything was good until the great uncles sold the house and we had nowhere to go. So we had to deal with years of being homeless, and it was a lot to deal with at such a young age, especially at 11 years old, prime. So
yeah, I mean, I've never been in a situation like that, but I often think about the things that I appreciate that I have. Running water is like the bare minimum of what people in America can be thankful for. But what are the things that we take for granted regularly? Lights, having a place to live, a roof over your head that's guaranteed, not having to worry about the next meal, not having to worry about financial situations. It can develop a lot of things for me. Going through times of poverty in my life, I worried about things like, how am I going to be when I grow up and I have to deal with financial insecurity? Or if I'm uncomfortable about a simple thing like having less than $1,000 in my bank account is terrifying to me. The idea of it is like a bone crushing, terrifying thing to me. And I think about my fears is money, less issues with money. So obviously tearing my shoulder last year wasn't optimal, and not having a job. And then spiders are terrifying to me, but these things that we normally think that are really terrifying, they kind of get overshadowed easily by a real life crisis like that at a young age.
I feel like it's crazy because even now as an adult, I feel like because of the way that I grew up, my fear is if I get money, if I spend it, will I get it back? So it's I try to hold on to things, and I feel I don't know, I try to be really frugal. And it stresses me out when I even spend money. If I do anything to splurge on myself, I feel guilty.
I've definitely experienced something similar, but not on that scale. There's got to be a lot of lessons or leave behinds that come with experiencing homelessness at a young age. Do you want to kind of share a little bit about what it was like for you?
When I was homeless, my dad, we had an RV and we had a van and we lived at a campground, and it was Lake Elsinore, California, the desert in the middle of nowhere. It's just dusty and dirty. And I just remember going to school. I was always embarrassed because I felt like people treated me like charity, giving me clothes and stuff like that. we would go to churches to like get lunch and dinners on the weekends, just with all the homeless people in the city. And then let's see, I remember like specifically like even on holidays, it was like now as an adult, it's just like so saddening that I had to deal with it. Like a Thanksgiving, for instance, my dad said that I was in trouble for something and I got kicked out of the RV. So I had to sleep in a tent that had a hole in it when it was raining. Um, I don't recall having like pillows or blankets or anything of that sort. And on Thanksgiving, like going dumpster diving for food, like my great uncle, he was always like, oh, we can just go get food. Like, don't worry, we'll have something to eat. And that's just like, it's just so sad. Like, that's where I came from. And being kicked out on that Thanksgiving, like, my dad had one of those plastic Tupperware buckets, and he would have me be in trouble cleaning the dishes in dirty water for them to eat, but they wouldn't even give me food. I was
Jesus
like
Christ.
literally 11 years old. And my son, my oldest son, is about to be 13. So it's like crazy to think like at this time and age where I was at in comparison to like my own son's childhood growing up. So it's just crazy to think about. Like, I remember I always would want to be away from my dad because he was really abusive. Like, he'd always just beat the shit out of us. I would stand in front of my younger brother, who's 2 years younger than me, and I would try to like take as much of the beatings as I could. And I remember all the time, like, we would just want to be at school, just be at school. Like, one time, like, being in trouble with my dad, he kept us from going to school, and that was really like terrifying to just be around him. But I always did really good in school. I always tried to get like straight A's. I was an honor roll. And one time, my dad, he put my sticker on the car for the honor roll. And then one time he was pissed off and he ripped it off. And yeah, he always made me feel like shit. That's the first man in my life to like degrade me as a person.
And that's supposed to be the exact opposite of what, you know, a father should be. A father should be a guardian, a protector, to teach the most important role of a father that, in my opinion, is to, and my opinions are usually, you know, the best opinions, right? Because they're forged through others' pain. So like a father should be a protector. A father should be a loving, kind individual, but a warrior in a garden, in a sense. A father should be supportive, help teach your daughter self-love, teach your son to be kind and gentle, but to understand violence and the importance of understanding it, not necessarily using it for no reason, but to have that warrior inside of you and be able to do violence on behalf of others who shouldn't have to or cannot at the time, right? I think that being an advocate for others is essential for young men growing up in this country, especially. And I can't speak on what young women should do, but I can tell you this, that you know, me as a young man, it was essential for me to have these values instilled into me by my stepdad who was in the military. It breaks my fucking heart to hear that you had to experience that.
Yeah, it's crazy to like hear like how a father should be. And it's like, my dad was such a piece of shit. Like, I didn't want to be alive when I was around him. Like, it's just like so saddening. Like, you're supposed to be my superhero and you're nothing. Like, I haven't seen my dad in 14 years.
Yeah.
14 years. He's never met my kids. I've talked to him maybe a handful of times, and every single time he was drunk. So it's just like, I just hang up. Numbers are blocked. As soon as he tries to reach out, I just don't even care.
And I think it's essential to have that healthy boundaries, right? You know, you've been on a spiritual journey and a journey of self-love and education about how to look at oneself with appreciation, with gratitude for the small things that we usually ignore, forget, you know. It's hard for me to hear stuff like this. So it's very, very difficult because I remember wanting to have a positive life with my biological father, and the grass not being greener on the other side. When I did reach out, and I think about how I want to be for my children in the future, right?
Oh,
You're a parent. You understand that you want your children to to have great things and to be loved and appreciated, and the polar opposite of everything, every single thing that you've gone through.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, as a mom, because their dads aren't involved either, like, I am both the parents in one. And when I look at my parents, I'm like, I don't want to be anything like them. And then sometimes, like, even in the past couple years of just like learning myself and like trying to heal my inner child and just become a better person, like realizing where are my flaws, where could I do better. And with my kids, when I see like, okay, I'm irritated or mad at them or something, like, what could I do better? Because I'm not trying to be like my dad, I'm not trying to be abusive, but I'll see tendencies where I'm like, wow, I'm like my mom right now, or wow, I'm like my dad. And I'll tell my kids, like, I'm very like open with them. I'll apologize when I'm wrong too. Like, if I fucked up, like, yeah, I definitely try to make sure that I try to be the parent that my parents weren't. They never apologize. Like, my mom, to this day, she doesn't know how to take accountability for her wrongs at all. And I feel like that's the biggest problem with our relationship is she put me through shit too, and she's never even said like a simple, hey, I'm sorry for that. Like, just an apology for just acknowledging that makes a huge difference. So
It's hard to have parents who have that stubborn tendency of trying to put off the flawed idea that they're perfect when they're damn sure not.
oh yeah.
No one's perfect. No human being is perfect. We all have flaws, and that's what makes us beautiful. Our flaws make us powerful individuals when we shouldn't try to be powerful individuals. Our flaws drive us to do things that are insane, like literally insane to do. But our flaws can also lead us to find that, like, identify what it is and work on it and become better and better. And there's new heights, working on yourself. I don't think there's a ceiling that you reach where you can't continue to grow. Or
self-reflection is so powerful.
Yes.
So powerful. And that's just like my life going forward. That's just all I'm doing is like, what am I doing to reflect? Like, this past week, I've been having a cloudy mind. I'm just like, okay, why am I feeling this way? What could I do better? So I'm always reflecting, because that's how I feel like I get further in life, for sure. Because I'm about growth, 100%. I hate being stagnant, and I don't know. I feel like maybe being stagnant is like how I felt as a kid too, like just not getting anywhere and feeling stuck. I hate feeling stuck. So maybe that's why it relates to now.
I think that working towards any self-betterment goal or anything that has to do with improving your circumstances in life, I think that is what ultimately drives us to be great in life. There's no way that anybody is going to be great if they don't first start to believe it. You have to have some form of confidence, and that confidence comes from within usually rather than without. I don't know very many people who have found new heights of their individuality, of found new heights of who do I identify as when I look in the mirror. Am I even this, it might be kind of stupid, but the Disney movie Mulan, like who am I when I look in the mirror is really the question.
I haven't seen that in so long.
You
Makes me want to like rewatch it.
I'm gonna
now.
watch it probably this week. I'm gonna make a goal to watch it. But there's so many lessons that can be found in simple things like that. And self-education leads to self-growth. Self-discipline leads to self-love. What was self-love look like? What did that look like to you when you were in middle school?
I don't think I had any. I don't think I even cared about my life at all. At all. Like, middle school, like, I'll give you an example of like how much of a piece of shit my dad was. And it has to do with like when I left California, my brother was still there, or yeah, he was still in California. My dad moved to Arizona, and they lived at this one place, and they had so many dogs and animals, and they would let the animals like shit and piss in the house. And my brother told me, and this is like, I have to share this because it's so like important to see like how we grew up. But like, my brother, he wanted to have just like a place to like sleep at night, and he was cold, and he had to literally peel up the carpet that had piss and shit all over it and sleep underneath that just to be warm to get through the night. Like, when I heard that from my brother, I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe that our dad did that to you. Like that, I could never imagine doing that to my kids ever. Ever. Like if it got to that point, like what am I doing wrong?
It's not a human being.
Yeah.
A
So
human being would never do that.
no.
That's insane.
And it's just crazy because I know how I felt being with my dad, and I know like that's one thing that me and my brother, like, we hold on to our like strong little family dearly, because it's only the five of us. My brother, his girlfriend, which is my sister now, Kira, and then me and my two kids. Like that's our household family. And it's crazy to think like we both felt the same through our childhood. Like we didn't feel belonging. We didn't get to like have like a simple thing as sitting around the table having a family dinner. We didn't get to have like fun, cherished holidays, just being like comforted in our own presence of our family. Like forget the presents and stuff. It's just like about how we are with each other. And yeah, it's so sad to feel so worthless at the beginning stages of my life. That's why I feel so powerful now, because it's like, damn, I really went through that. How the hell did I become the person I am today? That is unbelievable. If only people like truly knew, like even in these little moments of my life, like how we wrote down like my little layout of my life, every part of it has so many stories. And I feel like a lot of my mindset is like I can't remember a lot of memories because I feel like it's trauma based. Like I shut a lot of that shit out. And yeah, so, and I tell my kids too, it's like, wow, I am so thankful, and you guys are so lucky that you do not get to live how I grew up. Like, whew, man, I wouldn't even let my youngest son, when he goes to school, I'll make sure he takes a shower, hair is done, like looks presentable. And I don't know what it is, like even for when we go to like the grocery store or something, if he's looking like not put together, like it just puts me in a state of like, oh, we're not taking care of ourselves or whatever. So like I'm always, I don't know, it's just crazy to go through trauma and like how it affects you every day.
It definitely is. And I just wanted to say I'm so sorry that you experienced that. I don't know. There's literally no words to try to describe the type of individual that person the person is. That's not a dad. It's not a father. That's a broken human being who breaks other human beings. There was a quote talking about hurt people or whatever, but this is not a hurt person kind of thing. This is you're damaging other human beings, and it's completely egregious. I can't stomach the idea of having experienced that. And wow, you must have a tremendous amount of strength to still be here today after experiencing these hardships.
I wrote that in my list of like my qualities. Like, what am I now? I'm like fearless. I'm patient. I'm very generous and like selfless. Like I give more than what I give back or get back or whatever. Yeah, like I give myself a lot of grace because I have went through so much. And that's actually what my chest tattoo symbolizes. It says heart of an Indian, strength of a warrior. The strongest leaders go through the toughest battles.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my chest tattoo stands for. I got that when I was like 19 years old. Totally forgot about that. So, yeah.
It definitely is. You know, people who experience extreme hardships, they're able to deliver a message about that is usually not tapped into. And I know there was something extraordinary about your life journey to develop this person that sits next to me today. To be able to sit down with you is not just something I wanted to do, but it's an honor and a privilege for you to share these parts of your life, because
I feel honored.
It's heartbreaking, right? What you went through.
Yeah.
It breaks my fucking heart to hear this shit, that
It's
people
just
are
crazy.
doing this, right?
I've never got to share like this vulnerable side to me ever. Like nobody freaking knows. Like Instagram is like, oh, I just go to the gym and draw, whatever. But like nobody like knows my mentality. That's why I started sharing like my talking videos. It's like if only people like knew what I've been through, what I'm about, like my mentality. Like I feel like my soul is my most beautiful part of myself. 100%. Like my mentality is just like, wow, I feel like I have a really genuine soul just from everything I went through. And I remember somebody asking me on my Instagram, like, oh, if you could change, like, when you had your kids, or, oh, if you could change this, like, would you? It's like, no, because, yeah, I could have had a privileged, like, childhood, like, or normal childhood, which is a privilege, actually, to, like, grow up and everything, but would I be the same person today?
And that exactly what I wanted to start talking about next is your having children. You know,
Yeah.
what an experience that must be to create life. I think it's one of the most beautiful things that we can experience in life. It's one of the most difficult things to do. And raising children is huge. I always take off my hat. I'm not wearing a hat right now, but I take off my hats to parents out there, because all I want to do now is, you know, now that I've accomplished a lot of the things that I wanted to accomplish in my life and tried new things, I've failed so much. I often think about who I want to be in the future, and like the only thing I want to be now is a father, and that's it. I know that being a present father and not doing the same mistakes that my family did with me are important, and I get really nervous talking about my experiences. So let's just focus on you, right? So tell me about
Parents,
you.
though.
Yeah, I appreciate
Like,
that.
for sure. Like, I know, based off of, like, how I've seen you two present yourself, like, you two carry yourself so well, like, despite whatever challenges that you may go through, the way that you conduct yourself and how you talk speaks highly of the person that you are. Like, you are, like, a high valued, real man, and I feel like that is what a child needs. 100%.
I appreciate that.
So, like, even though our parents have treated us however, like, you get to create the person that you are, and that reflects in your kids so much. Like, when you have kids, you're gonna be like, wow, like, I got to see my child grow up, and you're gonna feel so blessed that they didn't grow up the way that you did. 100%.
And I know you experience that daily. What was it like having child at a young age? Because I know there's a lot of social stigmas, and I'm just going to kind of go off the deep end here and say that there's a lot of people who judge others for when they need to have timing in life. I've been harped on. My wife's been harped on about not having kids at the age until we're at this age. Like, I'm 29 years old right now. I'm gonna be 30 in June. I am always being asked, you know, dude, you're gonna be great, have gray hair by the time you have kids. Like, what's going on? Like, when are you all gonna hurry up, pop out? When, are there any buns in the oven? When are you gonna pop out some kids? And it's been from family members, from friends, from random people over the years. And I want to say this to anyone listening to this who seems to go along with society's ideology that you need to do something at a time where they are going to feel satisfied at it. Don't fucking listen to anybody tell you what your timeline should look like. There is no perfect time for anything. You can have perfect preparation and still fail, but you can prepare perfectly to be a parent as far as that looks for you. So the steps that I took and the steps Rhiannon took to create this environment where we're able to have kids and not have to worry about am I going to have am I going to wake up and notice that I tried to hurt my child in my sleep because I'm having night terrors every night? Like, am I ready? Am I really ready to be a responsible individual? And I had to check a lot of boxes personally, but I think no one should rush a timeline. So before we talk about this, I just want to say that there's no age requirement for when you're supposed to be a parent, and there's no qualification, there's no piece of paper or a certificate that says you're now ready to be a fucking parent. And so can you tell me a little bit about that for you?
Well, when I was younger, I didn't have the proper structure. Like, my parents didn't have, like, the talk with me. And when I came back to Washington from California, like, I don't know, like, to feel loved by somebody and have a relationship, like, that was just, like, perfect for me.
Yeah, and it must have been overwhelming. You know,
I was just like, wow, like, to feel like I have a boyfriend. And we took that extra step, and I got pregnant at age 14. So I was really young, and I knew in my head that I wasn't going to get rid of my son. I knew that I actually told myself that this is going to be my family. Like, this is the next step of my life, which is crazy to think about because it's been a huge step in my life. I am grateful that I have my kids young. Like, even though, like, there's so much trial with it, I got judged when I was going to school. I got pregnant freshman year, and I remember going to school and I was just so pregnant, and people were like, oh, you're like just calling me so many names out of the book. And it's just like, wow, like I lost my virginity, got pregnant. Like, it's not even like that. I'm not like out here doing crazy things, meet with random hella people or whatever. But like I went through my oldest son's dad. He was abusive eventually. When I was pregnant, he threw a backpack from my high school, like all my textbooks and everything. He threw that at my stomach, and I remember my son wasn't moving.
My God.
And I went to the hospital and I told them that like, oh, I fell or something and my son wasn't moving. Can you check on him? So it's like already me like covering up for abuse, dealing with my own abuse in a relationship for the first time. Like I didn't know how to like go about that and stuff. And I'm a young mom too. But I remember I was trying to leave him. And I was like, wow, like I have my son, like, what am I going to do? I don't have anywhere to go. And I'm like, I had to live with him. That's how I got pregnant. It was because my mom kicked me out within like 6 months of living with her. So stemming from that abuse and everything with him, I got into a homeless shelter with my son. I think he was like less than 6 months old or so about. That was all the way in like Mount Vernon. And then from there, like I got into a teen homeless shelter or teen group home in Seattle. And from there, I got my GED because I didn't get to finish school. So right when I turned 16, got my GED. Surprised that I even made it that far with being a teen mom. And second part of the program for the teen group home was having your own 2-bedroom apartment within like a building with other teen moms. So we got to do like parenting classes, cooking classes, like everything to give us some sort of structure that our parents didn't really give us. And from there, I started working 2 jobs, wasn't even on food stamps, got my own apartment in downtown Seattle, like right downtown, like on 5th and Madison, I think. So that's where me and my oldest got to basically grow up. It's crazy to think about like me growing up with my son at the same time, like a baby raising a baby basically. But it's cool because I feel like the life that I've lived, like being a young mom, like I can talk to him, like my parents didn't have the talk with me, and he's a teenager now, 12 years old, about to be 13. And I've had like the talks with him and told him important things like, okay, like you never lay your hands on a girl, no matter how mad you get. Told him like, if a girl says no, or like if a girl's drunk or whatever, make sure like you don't do anything you're not supposed to do. Like I teach him things that he can take with him forward to be a good man, which is challenging because I'm a woman trying to raise my son. So it's like I can only teach so much, but I feel like because I'm a young mom and because like where I'm at mentally, I feel like I'm a good role model for like how he could be as a person. So it's cool. Like when I'm 30 years old, he'll be 33, he'll be 18. And when I'm 38, my youngest will be 18. So it's like crazy that my goal to like look forward to is like to travel together and go different places, because I didn't get to do that. Like raising him as a teen mom, I didn't get to go like to Disneyland and stuff like that. So I'm just looking forward to having these like grown moments with my kids.
Wow.
So
I think it's really awesome that you're able to say that you're a good role model. To acknowledge that, I think it's important when you're feeling like you're doing a good job at being a parent. I think it's important to say it and to always ask yourself, what can I do to be better at the same time? A lot of parents don't have that self-awareness that I personally noticed in my friend group around there. What can I do to keep being a good parent? I think that constantly working on yourself is essential. I think that checking yourself when you're doubting your abilities, and instead of doubting yourself, to try harder. and to give yourself that affirmation that you're doing a good job, because your children are going to love you continuously and love you with this universal passion that surrounds who's in their life. Your children love outward in a way that I wish everyone in life loved outward as much as children do. They're so excited just to be alive and be there.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard to teach love when you've experienced pain and hatred and mistreatment as well. So, wow.
I love the love I get from my kids. Like, even if my oldest, like, going through the teenager years is rough, we butt heads, but man, I know that kid loves me.
And that's awesome. So there's obviously got to be a lot of lessons with having children and understanding how loving and sweet they can be, and how much it refills your tank to get that love from something that you created in this life. What is some of the most fruitful moments about being a parent for you?
I love, like, seeing my kids smile. Like, I act like a huge goofball just to get them to laugh, and I feel like that's just so fulfilling to me. Like, I go around, I'll make a weird, like jumping around body movement or whatever, and I'll just, like, chase them around the house and just start tickling them. But I feel like it's cool to see, like, their personalities develop and who they are becoming as, like, little people. My oldest, he's this cool guy. He likes to make sure he's well kept for his appearance. Like, he wants to look like that dude. And then my youngest, like, it's crazy seeing him grow up and actually have, like, a whole personality, because, like, going from baby to, like, being 6 years old, huge transition. And he, like, loves music. Like, he'll sing anything. The other day I woke him up by singing the Lizzo song, like, "You're Special." And it's like, "Oh, if nobody told you today, you're special." And he's been singing that for, like, the past 3 days.
Oh my goodness.
And I love it. And he even wrote me a little card that says "You're Special" on it. And it's paper, but he wants to make a necklace out of it for me. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, like, I love to feel whole and connected with my kids. This past week I was like, okay, I've been mentally a little bit more down. I feel like I haven't been my true self. And I started writing, like, reflecting, like, okay, where am I at right now? What I could do better. And then I looked at my kids. I was like, you know what? I know you're bored a lot lately. Like, what would you want to do? What do you want to see differently to make you happier? Like, what would actually make you happy? And, like, they started giving me, like, little lists, and both of them want to do, like, more family outings. Like, Kamari, my youngest, he wants to start skiing and ice skating. And I'm like, okay, we're going to go try to see, like, maybe he might be the next person that's, like, in the Olympics doing ice skating. I don't know, but we're going to go for it. And then my oldest, he's getting into skateboarding and stuff, and he just wants to make himself look more presentable and, like, go do paintball shootings and play with, like, airsofts and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, they want to just, like, I want to help them find their individuality also, and, like, I don't know, make their childhood fun.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. I think that children, the things they get excited about, I try to always be excited as well, because one, it makes me feel like I'm not getting old.
Yeah.
Two, it's hard for me to keep up with modern day technology unless I'm involved with the youth, because the youth they grow up involved in modern day technology.
That's true.
And that's just definitely one of my favorite parts about being around children. And wow, they're the next generation. They're the future of our country in America. And if we raise great human beings in this country, I think we can kind of get away from the direction that we've been headed in, where everyone watches the news and obsesses over what some guy who they say that is orange is doing, right? We can unplug kind of from the world and focus on self-betterment, self-worth, understanding our values, and defining ourself the way you want to, not as far as society's expectations or the standards they have, like, at all.
Yeah. Another thing with, like, my kids is I've noticed that we're always on technology all the time. And I'm, like, trying to think of, like, okay, what can I do to get you away from, like, the computer screen or your phone and stuff like that. So it makes me really excited. Like, my oldest, Troa, he went outside and been skateboarding for like 3 days, learning tricks and stuff. He's like, Mom, look, I got a bruise. I got a scrape. Look at my hand. I'm like, wow, welcome to childhood.
He's living life.
You are.
Rub some dirt in it.
Yes, that's what I did when I was a kid. I was always riding the bike and like racing all the boys in the neighborhood. And I remember I would always literally like crash and I'd skid my same knee. And then when it'd heal, I would do it again. And it's all the time. I'm like, yep. I used to climb trees, fall down. It's part of being a kid. So it makes me really happy that like I can get them to like do those kind of things versus just being solely on technology.
So what is this fitness feeling that you have tried to achieve, right? So I think the first time I saw you, you were working at a local corporate gym, and that's when we met.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, what draws you to this idea of fitness? What is it? What about it that attracts your discipline and attracts your focus as a human being?
Well, I feel like when I first started in the gym, I just like I wanted to like lose weight. I had my youngest and just wanted to like look better. And my ex that I was with for like 3 years, he actually is the one that we started our relationship going to the gym together. So that got me like out of bed, going to the gym. Cool. And then I got super dedicated. I was like, wow, like I like seeing this change in myself. And it's crazy because like a year into the gym, I was like, wow, like I've changed more mentally than I did physically. Like the mental state is a huge difference just versus the physical. So I feel like that really makes me intrigued being in the gym, like just constantly developing myself as a person, physically, mentally, and just challenging myself. What challenges can I face and like overcome it? Hitting PRs and all that. Like I used to go for heavy weight and feel like I was like ready to kick ass in the gym.
Definitely.
It's crazy because I remember meeting you guys. I think it was the Toe Nutrition event. It was right before lockdown, I think.
Oh yeah.
And we went bowling, and it was like my first like girls' night out with Kira. She just turned 21. I think it was like literally we were having birthday shots for her on that day.
We were.
Yeah. So it was just like, I don't know. I liked the atmosphere. I liked how I could just talk to anybody about any gym stuff and felt like connected and just felt like I was part of a community. And I feel like that's why I started going to like Total Nutrition. I was like, wow, like I want to be an ambassador so I can like meet all these other people and make friends.
I think having a community surrounding you when you're involved in fitness can be one of the most fruitful things to take away. I mean, yeah, is the muscle cool? Yeah. Do you feel good about yourself? Yeah. Can you pick up heavy shit often and easily? Probably.
Carry all the groceries.
Like carry all the groceries, right? Every single one of them. Does it develop a sense of independence and empowerment? 100%. But the community surrounding fitness is so powerful. And why? Because everybody's working on themselves in one way, shape, or form. Like you get even the assholes that show up at the gym. You know, you can learn some from them as well. Definitely not. I really honestly can't stand people who are rude in the gym to others, because everybody there is showing up to work themselves. If I ever saw this comment on social media, like a fat person is wasting their time, in the gym, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. You're wasting your time talking right now.
Exactly. Wasting your damn breath. I feel like me feeling so connected with the community really drew me into like the fitness world. And I just felt like I made such a name for myself. Like I would always gym hop. And I remember going to like LA Fitness. I started working there right after quarantine again, or no, it was right before quarantine. And I think that's actually when I met you guys, right when I was working at like LA Fitness. And I remember going there from like 24-hour fitness or something, and like somebody came up to me, they're like, oh, are you Baby Red the Prodigy? Because that was my old Instagram name. I was like, oh shit, yeah. And they're like, I know you. I was like, wow, that's so cool. Like, you know me, okay. But yeah, like it was cool. Like I always like, I don't know, it was like fiending for the gym environment and stuff. But then when I had my injuries, I felt super disconnected. Like I had injuries for like 2 years. Diving into that is like I was finding my hobbies for myself, and I tore my freaking meniscus in my knee. roller skating, doing tricks.
I was gonna say ballet is not is a dangerous
Oh
sport.
no.
So
I could never do
roller
ballet.
skating and you're oh god.
Yeah, I did. I was like enjoying like the adult nights at the skate deck and everything, and I was feeling myself a little bit too much. I tried to like spin around and then go backwards, and I busted my knee, and that lasted for like 2 years. On top of that, I threw out my back for like 4 months. I couldn't get out of bed. It went like to sciatica, nerve pain. It was terrible. Like I had to have
Sciatica's
my
horrible.
youngest have to help me put on my socks and walk me to the bathroom and even try to like get up. It was just so hard to even like breathe. It hurt so bad.
Sciatica is crippling. Anyone who has experienced it is in pain. Like
depressing.
Trying to get in and out of my Jeep when I was going to work was terrible. And then having to do re-ropes on elevators was terrible.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I have to like
bed.
lift hundreds of pounds throughout the day or like thousands of pounds ultimately regularly throughout the day and walk, and my right butt cheek all the way up to my right ear is just like and even my ankle too. My ankle was acting weird. My ear was like just nonstop ringing. God, I feel like shit. And sciatica,
It's
I don't wish that on
terrible.
anybody.
Like
Anyone.
I'm so scared to hurt myself again just by going through that and everything. Because that lasted 4 months. I couldn't get out of bed. Like I remember like at a low point, I think it was actually just about when I reached my heaviest. Because I went from like gym weight was starting out, I was like 180 pounds. I dropped down to like 130, 125-ish. And then I went through bulking phase up to like, I finally, after a couple years, got up to like 180. And then after that, that's when the injuries happened. So I gained 40 pounds, got to like 212 pounds. And then I remember getting up out of bed. I'm like, wow, there's a huge indent on my bed, like on my side. And I slept so bad because of that. But it was because I was stuck in bed for months. Like I couldn't get out of bed. I didn't have it in me to like cook food. Like either my kids had to like make food or I'd order Uber Eats, whatever. And it was just like, it just sucked. And then I got back into work after I healed. I was working in a warehouse and I twisted my ankle, and my ankle was twisted for months. And then after that, this past September, I broke my big toe, like of all things. So I've had injuries for like 2.5 years, and it's been terrible. But getting back into the gym and stuff, it's like I signed up at Planet Fitness because I had such bad anxiety. Like I remember just sitting in the parking lot and I was so nervous to go in. I just kept on like giving like mini promises to myself. Like, okay, I drove here. We made it. I just got to walk through the doors, even if that means going to the bathroom and freaking and locker room and like taking a selfie or something and like adjust my mindset, put on some music and like sitting there for a couple minutes and then just get to the Stairmaster, or not the Stairmaster, the treadmill, and just walk. Like that's all I needed to do the first couple of days. That was my promise to myself. And then after that, I was like, okay, I got this. And I'm blind trying to walk around the whole gym because everything's purple. So I'm like, okay, what is where, so I can create like some sort of routine for myself. And I think after like the first week, I finally started like I was getting back to my normal self. And so far, I've been in the gym for about 3.5 months now, and I'm really proud of myself. But now I'm feeling like, okay, now I'm excited to be part of a community again. Like right now, I feel like I work out by myself. I don't talk to anybody at my gym. Like it's not a community thing right now. It's just like me getting back on my feet. Now I feel like I'm ready to like go back to a bigger gym and be around like people that are like supporting each other after the same thing and not like bullshitting in their workouts. So I feel like, okay, now that I reach a certain level, now I'm trying to like catch up to everybody else. Like it will bring more of like the beast out of me. So I feel like that's what I'm going for now.
I think that having a community, it does bring out the beast, as you would say. And I think that it creates a sense of accountability.
Yes.
In others. So when people see you there, and also fitness is something that is immediately reimbursive, no matter what type of, even if you're doing fucking CrossFit or yoga, right? So like as soon as you dive into one aspect of fitness and you do that daily deposit, you can now build off that. Every time you put some money into your bank of, I care about myself, whether it's on the treadmill or doing push-ups or even if it's just getting out of bed, honestly, talking outside of the fitness, that can be a major victory in itself. Just getting out of bed. I think that fitness is something that's immediately reimbursive. And the more that you invest in yourself when you're in a team setting, it invests in everybody equally. So you showing up every day is going to help your sister show up. You showing up every day is going to help a friend show up. You showing up is going to inspire you tomorrow to show up, right? You're creating a foundation, right? And
I noticed that, like, if I don't go to the gym, the next day I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym. Like, that's how it's been for the past week, honestly, is like, I just don't want to be around people. I don't want to deal with people right now. But like, honestly, today after this, I'm going to the freaking gym. I'm not going to give myself...
Go fucking crush it.
I'm not going to give myself any more excuses because, like, honestly, this is my commitment to myself. This is my journey. This is where I'm just, like, connected with my physical aspect. And then after that, I can, like, work on other parts of myself, like my reading or my drawing and stuff like that. But I feel like I like to start my day with going to the gym. I feel like if I don't go to the gym in the mornings, like I go right after I drop off my son at school, I go at 9:30, literally every day. And I need to stay committed to that. And I feel like when I am committed, it just brings my best self out. Like, I feel like I'm in alignment with my higher self. So
I think it's important to recognize those. One of my favorite things about going to the gym is the mental aspect. There's so many lessons that I've personally learned. What are some of the ones that you've experienced?
Lessons that I've learned from, like, going to the gym and stuff.
Yes.
That I can hold myself accountable, that I can show that I'm committed, that this is time to, like, pour into myself. Like, if I could, for instance, like, if I was in a relationship, I'd be quick to hop up and go hang out. So I'm not quick to hop up and go to the gym. Like, it is my relationship with myself. So I act like I'm dating myself pretty much. Like, hey, let's go have some fun time at the gym. All right, let's go. And I just, like, sometimes I'll, like, do my makeup and try to look cute and, like, go to the gym just to feel good. And I don't know, like, it just feels good to look good, to feel good. I love to freaking sweat. I don't know. I feel like the gym is, like, my happy place. It used to be my home away from home. So
I love that.
Yeah.
I've found so many amazing lessons, more so than the journey I learned with myself mentally. While I'm in the gym, I'm able to crush physical goals, but it sets the tone, sets the fucking standard for how I'm going to crush the rest of the day. And if I don't crush the rest of the day, it's okay, because I still kicked ass in my workout. And when you kick your own ass, it's really hard for somebody else to make you feel bad about yourself in the day, or to knock you off your pedestal of positivity when you're working towards a goal.
Oh yeah.
And I really enjoyed that as well. So something you brought up, self-respect and self-love. What does self-love mean to you?
Self-love to me, I don't know, it's just like finding myself, finding things that make me happy, things that make me tick. That's what my mission for the last 3 years is, like, finding my hobbies. Like, other than just, like, going to the gym, like, what else is there to myself? Because I know I have a great, brilliant soul, and it's like, what is going to bring out the best in me? So I like how you said, like, daily deposits. Like, I read every day. I love reading. It's what got me into college. I love drawing. I feel like I'm really connected and at peace. I feel like my mind doesn't, like, go all over the place when I'm drawing. And yeah, like, I'm just, like, working towards something all the time. And then I also, giving myself self-love and self-respect is, like, taking the time to relax when I need to and stop being on, like, survival mode and go all the time. Like, I realized that 2 months ago. I was like, wow, like, my mind won't stop. And I'm like, okay, why is this? It's because I've always been in survival mode. Like, how am I going to survive the day to get to the next one, or getting through each day rushing to get to the higher level, but not enjoying where I'm at? Like, I deserve to enjoy, to lay down and not do anything for a whole day if I want to, because it's like, okay, if my body needs that, my soul needs that, it's okay to, like, rest and reset and bring my better self for, like, the next days to come. But I'm really trying to not keep going and rushing through my days and take time to enjoy every moment that's good in every day. Like, I've noticed that when I'm in go mode, I'm not connected with my higher self. I feel like when I am calm and rested, like I'm at peace, then I can like sit down and draw. But if I'm on go mode, I can't sit down. Like I'm always trying to like do something else, and then I get a whole lot of nothing done because I'm just on go mode the whole entire time. So I feel like self-reflecting, self-respect with self-love and everything is just like knowing who I am, what I need, at which parts, like demanding more of myself, but knowing when to give myself grace too.
I think that's huge.
Like
That's
giving yourself
huge.
grace is so important.
I definitely need to work on not being in survival mode and go mode, because my mind never stops moving, and I used to think it was really awesome when I was accomplishing every single goal I wanted every single day, and I have checked every single box for myself for years, except for appreciating my time in my family, with my relationship with my wife. Am I slowing down to take in moments of beauty that she shows? Am I paying attention to the small tells that humans have when they're happy, right? How am I recreating this happiness? And I often don't do enough of that. So I'm going to, just put that out to the world that I really I'm going to step it up, and I want to step it up. And it's important to take time to offer yourself grace and say, you don't need to try to make $1 million tonight. Just go to sleep. Fuck. Just go to sleep. Or I used to promise myself I wouldn't sleep until I made my money goal for that day. And it's very unhealthy to put your brain through financial stress like that after growing up dealing with financial stress. Like it's like putting yourself right back in the trauma chair. And oh my goodness, I need to give myself some more grace. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, I feel like
really do.
Going through like trauma and stuff like that, like you're always in survival mode. I'm always in survival mode. And then just in the past couple months, I'm like, wow, like I need to chill out a little bit. Like if I'm at the gym, like my original goal with going back to the gym was being there 3 days a week. I was in there every single day, like 6 days out of the week. I'm like, okay, if I miss a couple of days, it's all right, because I know that when I'm in the gym, like consistently, like I'll be there. But if I miss a day, I'm not going to just like be super hard on myself. Or like with my reading books goals, like I was trying to read 50 books this year. I'm like, wow, I barely read like 3 or 4 this year so far, and we're in the 4th month. I was trying to read like a book every week, but I'm like, dude, I'm still reading. I'm still learning. Like
I got to subscribe you to my reading list because I got a bunch.
I love books. Like that is my treasure. Yeah, so I love reading. But yeah, like I don't know, you got to give yourself grace. I feel like a lot of people are so hard on themselves that they don't get to enjoy the simplest things in life. Like for me, for instance, I'll go sit on my porch in the morning or something, go stand outside, and I just listen to the birds chirping. Just that, the stillness in the air and just like hearing them is just like being one with nature. It makes you feel at peace. So when you're at peace, you can get more things done. Like your mind isn't clouded with a whole bunch of random thoughts, what you should do, what you could do, what you can't do, what you're trying to do. Like it just makes you way more calm.
Absolutely. So there's a lot that you mentioned today. There's 2 questions that I really want to ask. And the first one is very, very personal. So I want to give you an option. If you don't want to answer it, that's okay, because this part can be kind of tough. What is, if you could talk to the person who you were at age 11, you're sitting across the room from somebody who looks exactly like you, because they are you at age 11, experiencing what you experienced, the exact same person. If you would write a letter to yourself to give yourself a little bit of hope in that moment, what would it read? What would it say?
I wrote a love letter to myself on my 3-year anniversary to myself. And it like literally was like me talking to me. And it's just like don't ever let anybody tell you that you are not deserving or worthy of the greatness that life has to offer. Like, no matter what you go through, no matter how much the world tries to diminish your character or your soul, that you have a lot to offer the world. It's just a matter of like when. I'm crying right now.
It's okay. I cry all the time. It's healthy.
But it's just like, it's like you're strong. Like You have gone through so much, and even though it might be hard right now, like, imagine all the beautiful things that is coming in life. Like, still so young, like, even at 11 years old, you have the whole world in front of you. Like, don't get caught up too much in other people reflecting, like, projecting themselves onto you just because they might not mentally be there for themselves and might not mentally be able to be a good person in your life. Like, don't let that dictate where your life is headed. Don't let it dictate how you treat yourself. And then once you find self-love, don't ever freaking jeopardize giving that shit up. Like, don't ever let anybody take that from you, because that's something that you worked so hard on. Honestly, like, I tell myself, like, you're a great mom. Like, you're really doing it. Despite everything that you've gone through, man, it just takes a lot to go through shit and then come out on top. And I'm proud of you. Like, that's what my little self would need to hear. Like, I'm proud of you. That's the one thing I never heard in my entire life, except for, like, now as an adult, is just like, I'm proud of you. Those words. And I care about myself. Like, I love myself. I feel like I'm a good, beautiful person, more so on the inside than even the outside. And I think that I'm going to make a huge impact on the world. So.
Wow. Well, that's a really amazing answer. I love that for you. I think it's amazing to hear that you have found so much growth through the things you go through, right? One of my favorite things to say is, don't just go through it, grow through it. And I had to tell myself that, and I had to learn these lessons, but I had so many different key components in me learning this. I never had to pick myself up by the bootstraps, as some people would say, because I think that's a one, it's a bad statement, and two, you can't just always just pick yourself up. Sometimes you are grounded. Sometimes it is a no-fly zone on your pathway to success.
Mm-hmm.
My last question is this: having gone through it yourself, and on this podcast we do take it pretty seriously when someone discusses being in abusive relationships, because they can be horrible. There are some horrible individuals in this life who have evil tendencies and evil goals, and will push you down just so they can feel a little bit worthy of their life that they have. And I hate abusive assholes. I'd like to say to anybody who's listening, who's gone through an abusive relationship or is currently experiencing an abusive relationship, there is grass that is greener on the other side. Don't stop having hope. Reach out to a friend. You have friends who do care, despite what that person is making you feel, and you are worthy of great and powerful things. So please keep going. And my question to you, Miss Sariah, is how does one start the journey to get out of an abusive relationship?
When I was in an abusive relationship, it's hard to answer that question like directly, but when I was in an abusive relationship, I was in one for 6 years with my first relationship outside of Troa's dad and everything. So that was my second relationship ever, 6 years. He was so abusive. I remember one time he got so pissed off that he took me into the house and he jumped on the bed and literally grabbed me by my throat, and he strangled me so hard that it ripped my skin on my neck. And I felt his hands there for days afterwards. And I know I should have probably put a trigger warning.
I put one in the description.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's just I remember he used to freaking flip the bed that I was laying on and would beat the shit out of me. We had hardwood floors too. I'd literally be so bruised up from falling on the ground. He'd hit me, kick me, whatever, take all my stuff, my car keys, my phone, my money in my pockets, anything that I had. I remember one time we got into a freaking fight in the car, and he's like, we're on the freeway, and he's like, I'll put this in park right now, and flip the whole entire car. And it's that's so scary to have your life in the hands of somebody else that doesn't give a fuck about you. No matter if they're a person who's abusive, first of all, if they don't love themselves enough to know that they're in the wrong, they cannot love you at all. I have, and also too, you can't have more hope for what the person, like what you hope that they could become, or you hope that they'll be better, and you can see it in them, but it's like, honestly, like if they don't freaking see it in themselves to even change from the very get-go, like they know what they're doing. If they can't freaking do that, they're not meant to be in a relationship with you. But it's so hard to leave abusive relationships, because if you're in one, it makes you feel less than who you are. 100%. Like when I was dealing with all that, like I was just trying to figure out how I'm gonna freaking survive like the day. I remember if I would get my phone, I would go take a shower just to like be able to like message my friends and have like a conversation. But other than that, I was deserted. I was isolated to myself, but in such toxic like environments. Like it was so bad. Like I remember being so, I don't know if the right word is like suppressed, but like I didn't have a voice. Like anytime I would say something, it's like, oh, shut the fuck up. Like your voice is nothing. Like you mean nothing. There's nothing that you could say that's actually worthy of being heard. So I feel like if you ever feel like that, like you just know that it's just not for you. Like you should be able to feel strong and powerful, to be able to speak your mind and be able to also, like, going from abusive relationships and everything, and you get out of that when you finally do, you also have to learn how, like, what you're feeling and how to communicate in the right way too. Because that's one thing I taught myself is like, okay, I know that I probably did things, even I shouldn't put any blame onto myself, but like as you get older, you still try to see like, okay, where could you have done better? And the self-reflection is like, okay, well maybe I said like this in the wrong tone and being disrespectful myself. That's something that I can take accountability for, is my wrongdoings. But that doesn't ever, you should be able to take accountability for your own actions and what you say and do, but that doesn't mean that the other person should ever lay their hands on you. Point blank, period. Like you should be able to talk as adults. Respect should be reciprocated, but you also have to learn to respect yourself. Like you have to learn when enough is enough. You have to learn when, like, what are you trying to get out of life? Like, is this long term from now, is like, is this what you really want? Like for the rest of your life, this person, when you get with somebody, it's like, okay, this is for the longevity. Do you really like, and me being in toxic relationships, it's like, I didn't see longevity. I just saw day by day. And I feel like that should mean something of significance. I don't know. It's really scary to deal with somebody that just doesn't care about you like enough. Like, and then when I got to my relationship after that, I thought that it was better because it wasn't as like drastic and toxic as my previous one. But there are still things that were very, very negative, and it brought the wrong side of me out. And now, since I've been single for 3 years, like my relationship with myself is like, okay, what am I willing to tolerate? What am I never going to freaking tolerate? I will never deal with anybody calling me out of my name. Like, dismissed. I will not deal with that shit. Because right now, especially like having kids, like who I am with is a representation of who my kids are going to grow up to be. Like if they see, for instance, my ex of 6 years, he was a gangbanger, selling dope, doing dope, guns everywhere, but not in like a healthy way. It was just like, ugh, it was just so terrible. And to think like my kids could grow up like that, that's really scary. That makes me fear for like my own kids' safety and their character and like their life in the long run. Domestic violence, abuse is so hard to walk away from. But you know, when you walk away, the grass is greener on the other side. I promise that. It's a journey to get there. And it's not easy. I went through, after my breakups and everything, is just like feeling worthless, not knowing the direction to go, just feeling like there wasn't like anything of value in life. And then I realized like, okay, well, I got my kids. That's my foundation of where I'm going to go from here. And I want to be able to have a healthy life for them to grow up healthy. So then any challenges that I'm faced with isn't somebody laying their hands on me or me walking on eggshells. It's like, okay, what freaking sport am I going to get my son into? Like challenges like that. I'd rather face challenges that seem stressful, but they're really not on that like toxic level. So it's not as hard to deal with. I'm probably rambling and stuff. I don't know.
No, you're not
But
at all.
yeah, it's really, really hard to go through that. But like Eddie said, like you're not alone. You can reach out to anybody. And like, honestly, if anybody has ever dealt with like abuse or like, for instance, like I know somebody that can't even go to the gym because her boyfriend won't let her, or can't go to girls' nights without them hovering over their shoulder. Like they have no independence and no personal life of themselves. But if anybody's like even going through that, I'm definitely all ears to talk to anybody and be as helpful as I can to the community too. Because when I was going through this, I had no friends. The only people I had around me were my ex's family and all his friends, and everybody didn't give a fuck about me. It's like, if you don't have anybody that you feel like you talk to, at least like I'm here. I've been through a lot of shit. This podcast only has like a little like snippet of it. But yeah, like I feel like my mindset now, I have a lot to offer anybody who's facing challenges with abuse, facing challenges with parenting, being a single mom. Like I've dealt with my own challenges with like my kids. Like my son had brain surgery and I'm a single mom trying to figure out school, working and taking care of them and stuff. So it's like I've been there, I've been dealing with a lot on my own, and it's good to have support and have people that can understand and also just like take a second to just listen to what you have to say and not give a response, but really acknowledge what you're saying and then give you feedback based off of what you just said, like really actually acknowledging what you're saying. So I'm definitely here to talk to anybody. I feel like I'm pretty grounded and my cup is full to be able to pour into others. So
I love that.
Yeah. Like,
wow. That's huge. You spoke on a lot of things that are pretty usually generic across the board in these very ungeneric and horrible, egregious situations. It's disgusting that somebody else would want to harm somebody else or make them feel like they have no voice. And it's a repeated issue that we're facing, that the statistics we have as far as domestic violence, it's like 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men. Those are just the people who report it.
Yeah.
We don't.
I never reported mine.
And
ever.
Right there.
I was embarrassed to. I was scared to, because it's like, what would they do to me if I did that? Like reported them? Like, how is this going to affect me when I have to be next to this person? So
if you knew you had a friend who would be a fierce advocate for you and do whatever it took on behalf of the person that you are and how they value you, would you have reached out for help?
If I felt like I had somewhere to go and I had that support system, I would have left. Like, I remember for 3 years of being with that person, for 6 years, I was trying to get away from them. Like, I would literally try to leave. My mom would not give me a place to stay. She like refused to let me and my own son, her grandson, come to live with her. I remember one time, like, the closest people to me that I thought were friends were my ex's like friends, and I was like, I'm just trying to get away. Like, I got a hotel and I had all my stuff in my car, and those people literally stole my car, did a shootout in the car with all my belongings in it, and I lost literally everything for like 10 months. I didn't even think that I was going to ever get it back. But it's just like crazy that the people that I thought could be there for me really fucked me over. I had nowhere to go, but if I could have just left, I feel like I definitely would have, a long, long time before that. So it's just, yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Like, even for instance, like the sister situation. Do I talk about that?
You talk about whatever you want to talk about here. Okay. This is off the deep end. We talk about fucked up shit, and we talk
fucked up stuff,
with the intent of getting off our shoulders and also helping another person. So please do share.
Like, my family Like, that's why I'm so appreciative and share just so much, like, a moment of gratitude towards my family that I do have, my brother, Kira, and my kids, and our, like, strength, because I didn't have my mom to rely on when I was going through all this. All this, I felt like she was against me. I felt like I couldn't tell her anything. And you know what's crazy is, like, that person that literally beat the shit out of me beyond what anybody could really imagine, like, just so terrible. My own sister got with that same ex. So my own blood sister dated my ex and got into a relationship with him and got pregnant by him. She ended up having an abortion. I don't know if she got pregnant once or twice, but it's just like, I remember even just like asking for help, being able to ask for help for anything, to like leave a toxic situation. I couldn't even ask my sister for $10 for a pack of diapers because she sent me a picture of a stack of money and never freaking helped. Like, that was my ex's stack of money. It matched in my head because I was like, wow, like, it literally is the same stack. And I saw on his Instagram. And then she's like sending me this, but she didn't respond at all. It's just like, wow, like, my own family is not even there for me. Like, who can I talk to? Who can I reach out to actually help me when people are just, my own blood is doing me fucking dirty?
Yeah.
That's so fucked up. Like, that's why I appreciate so much of like the good in life, and I appreciate good souls. I appreciate genuine people. Because I know what it is like when people are just against you. They don't give a fuck about anything that you have to say, anything that you do. They wish ill upon you. Yeah, like, personally, I can feel when there's energy where there's somebody like against me. Like, I don't know what it is, but like my mom and my sister, for instance, on Easter, she was gonna hang out like with my kids and everything, but my sister ended up bailing, and I was just like telling my mom about it. I was reading my book, I was perfectly calm, just telling my mom about it, and my mom started yelling at me. She's like, you're just in the wrong, you're just angry, and like projecting majorly. And I had to yell at her, and I was like, wow, like, shut the fuck up. Like, you're not hearing me. Like, you're not actively listening. You're just like hearing words, but you're not like filtering what it actually means, like what I'm trying to tell you. It's just like, I can't even have simple conversations with my mom or my sister without them like placing blame on me because they're in like victim state. So it's like really frustrating that I couldn't have my own family to even have my back on anything, no matter what it is. So yeah.
That can be exceptionally difficult to have to deal with, right? Not having a support system at all.
Yeah, it's rough, but it makes you really appreciate who's really in your corner, for sure. So
there's one thing I just have to know. You know, you just shared a very, 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 very personal thing with me and my listeners, and I really do appreciate you being transparent and honest. And I hope that when you listen back to this, it's gonna remind you of how powerful you are and the journey you've traversed so far in life. I want to say that anybody listening who is experiencing domestic violence or an abusive relationship on any level, I'm going to be posting, of course, links in the description, and it's essential that you feel and you know that there are people out there that do care, and you just have to reach out. It's very similar to feeling they want you to feel trapped and isolated and now know that you can't reach out to anybody because no one will believe you, no one will care, no one
like, you're at fault.
Like, you're at fault. You're like this. You deserve this. You deserve to be loved, and love and black eyes don't mix. They really don't. Or slash tires, or your child or your dog being threatened, like it happened to our previous guest. So I have to know, you know, there are exceptionally low points where you're going to obviously be feeling in your life with all these difficulties. What kept you grounded and stopped you from, you know, giving into suicidal ideations?
I think a moment when I was just like so fed up with everything is when I broke up with my last relationship 3 years ago. It happened a week before quarantine, actually. It was pretty traumatic, but I remember we got into a fight about something, and I went outside and like I tapped his car. I was like pissed off, and then he came and like choked me as he brought me into the house. And I remember that I was like, we're in the kitchen. I'm 6 inches away from a damn knife. I want to fucking kill this dude for literally touching me because I told myself that the next person that puts hands on me, I'm fucking him up.
Yeah.
Because you got me fucked up. But later that night, I was like, wow, like, if I did that, my kids are in the other room. I'll be in freaking jail, prison, whatever. And my kids are going to be left alone with whatever other challenges that they're going to be faced with if I'm not here to protect them. And like, even just before like that realization is like, I was laying in the bathtub and I was just like crying. I couldn't stop crying and I wanted to freaking cut my wrists. And it's just like, it's just so sad to think about myself being in that position because of where I'm at right now. But it's like, wow, like you have so much to live for. And I didn't even realize how much I have to live for. I just knew that I have my kids. And every day it's just like, okay, I'm going through like just one day at a time, one step at a time. Like I will get through this because I've been through a hell of a lot worse. Right now it's just me against my mental state. And right now that was what I needed to heal more than anything. And then like, okay, going into like quarantine, for instance, like I was not used to being alone. I was always in a relationship, always with somebody. Like, yeah, I was with my kids still through quarantine, but I really had to sit down and analyze like what I've gone through, what I'm going to do to like try to heal. Like what are the next steps for me? And I feel like part of finding like value in my life is just taking comfort in the family that I do have. Like I cherish like my kids so much. I feel like not all parents, but most of them would be like, yeah, like I love my kids. Like my kids are my safety net. Like they've kept me grounded, they've kept me here. And like now it's just like I feel guilty because, well, I felt guilty because now I'm doing something about it, but I have felt guilty for always putting like my kids on the back burner and prioritizing a relationship because they demanded more of me and like made me feel less. So I would always try to like please them. I was a people pleaser. And I feel like now it's just like my kids are my priority. Like I don't do relationships. I only have relationships with myself and my kids. Right now it's just like what makes us happy, what makes us whole as a family, to just be stronger together. I feel like, I don't know, just learning how to love myself. Like the best decision I have ever made was to have a relationship with myself, not just being single, not just dating or whatever, like really truly having a relationship with yourself, like making yourself freaking like breakfast in bed. Shit, you could just lay in bed and like make yourself food, come back and lay in bed and you made yourself breakfast in bed. Like that's what girls want, right? Going to freaking like, I don't know, taking yourself on dates. Like I like to go get coffee and go to Barnes and Nobles and either read or draw. But yeah, like I need a drink real quick.
Okay. I appreciate you being transparent, and I think it's really great.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's like my chest is like my heart's beating out of my chest right now because I feel like I've been all over the place, like talking about my story and stuff. But it's just like it's crazy how much I've leaped into like a different reality. Like sometimes I ask myself, like, wow, like is this real? Because I'm really happy. Like I'm really genuinely at peace, and anything that disturbs my peace, it just really pisses me off. Like anything. If I'm like, I'm in my zone, I like to, like, I've learned to also not be a nice person because nice people get walked all over, but show kindness, but not be a people pleaser. I feel like that's a huge thing in like my self-discovery. Because I'm not here to like make anybody else's life, like I'm here genuinely, but I'm not going to give more than I receive, like on a respect level, on an emotional level. Like I don't know, I keep my influences of people around me, I keep them very positive, very like high energized people, not in just like their personality, but their energy that they have to offer. Like for instance, my closest friends, My friend, she got me into reading books, and that got me into college. Like, those kind of people are uplifting to my energy, and I appreciate them so much for it. I remember my friend Kelsey, I will always remember this, but she sent me a book in the mail. I forgot where she was, but in the book it had little note cards and like certain chapters. It's like, oh, read this one at chapter whatever. And it made me so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder what I'm going to read. And it was a self-reflecting book. It was called Love Warrior. And it was a girl learning to like love herself. And then that got me into reading. I was like, wow. So the next book that I wrote, which I recommend to everybody, is Relentless by Tim Grover. Definitely write that down, because that, for me, like, it might hit people differently, but it's about the fierceness in your mentality and going after what you want in life and not letting anything freaking stop you. And I was like, you know what? Like, after reading that book, like, a random thought, I freaking wanted to go to college. I decided to enroll in college. Didn't know what I was going for, but I knew I was doing it. And it was so cool that my friend, just in that one moment of reading that book, completely did a whole different like direction of my path of where I was headed. And then through that, like, my best friend Kira, it's my brother's girlfriend, we've been best friends for like 5 years now. Appreciate her so much because she has made me a calmer person. She has grounded me a lot, because I used to be very aggressive. I used to just be like so edgy. I would pop off on anybody that would try me. I was just like, I was off that. And I've learned to calm down from her, but also like she helped me register for my classes. She helped me like, oh, this is what you need. This is what like you could do, and like helping me with my options, exploring the next chapter of my life. And from there, like, I got into college, and I remember taking like, I had 2 classes, but I needed 3 classes to be full time. And then I got into art class, and that really led me to finding my passion. Now I love drawing. I'm actually pursuing becoming a tattoo artist, and I swear I'm so ready to slay some ink. But it's just like, it's so great to have positive people in your corner. Like, it's just crazy to go from like the people that stole my car for a shooting to going to people that got me into a path of greatness, like a path of wanting to read books every day to become a better person, and like wanting to go to college and create like a better life for my kids. Like, my oldest, he came up to me when he first started school, and he's like, Mom, they asked me, are you the first person in your family to go to college? And he's like, you go to college though, right? So I'm not the first one in our family. I said, you know what? You're right. And it was a moment of gratitude, because I was like, wow, I just broke a fucking generational curse. Like, I am doing big things. And I'm 27, about to be 28. And it's just crazy that like, I'm so youthful and I've gone through so much, but I have the next part of my whole entire life that just has nothing but greatness in store for me. And I'm just so proud of that.
And you should be. And it's so exciting to hear you talk about the future with excitement, right? It's exciting to have people around me that are excited about things. I have this weird inclination towards personal goals. I have to always have the next goal. And I know that you're pursuing college right now. What are some of the goals that you have lined out in front of you that you are going to accomplish within like a year?
I am going to get my business license. I'm going to lock in my tattoo like brand. I'm keeping everything like a secret until I pop out, just because I don't want anybody to steal my ideas.
Okay.
But
you just share what you want to share.
Yeah, I'm excited because I'm going to be a tattoo artist. I'm already practicing like every other day. I'm trying to practice on like fake skin and stuff. I think the next step is me doing a tattoo on myself. I just got to think of what exactly I want. Because I want it to be a part that like resembles the transition of my life that I'm in. Personally, I think it's probably going to be a butterfly. But my upcoming goals is I was in like a limbo of what I wanted to do in college, but I think I want to get like my business degree, because I know that, you know, I can only be like a tattoo artist for so long, but then what will be past that point? So it's like, okay, what kind of business can I make for myself for the longevity to have like generational wealth? I want to have like a company where I can hire dope ass tattoo artists, or give people that need apprenticeship like me, give them the opportunity to show what they're capable of. My goals is just keep on growing through reading. I don't know, like I want to be able to explore life a little bit more versus being stuck in the same spots. Like I want to travel with my kids. Um yeah, I feel like there's so much that I want to do.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see you smiling in this moment and know that you have a full understanding and realization of what you've experienced and how to power through it, and to be able to stand here and say, yeah, I fucking did,
No.
and I did it. I did this. There's no one that could throw me off my path. Many have tried, many have failed, but I'm still here. And I think
still here.
That's like the most
alive
important
and well.
thing.
And I think that honestly, once I reach my like higher destination, like right now I'm enjoying my journey, but once I reach that level where I feel comfortable, like financially, like truly stable, I do want to give back like to the community and stuff, especially with teen moms, because it was so hard for me. Like I want to try to make like, I don't know if I would want to start an organization for like teen moms and like homeless teen moms and like that route and abuse survivors and stuff, because it's hard to like, if a person that you're with is in charge of like financials, like how do you get away from them and stuff like that? Like I want to be able to have resources or be able to provide more of my income towards resources to help others that have had like the same similar backgrounds as me. Like that is an ultimate goal. I swear, like I can only do so much right now. Like right now I'm like, okay, maybe I can like collect clothes and blankets and stuff from people and try to like give back to homeless people and stuff like that. But like I want to do more. And I feel like there's like 20 years from now, I want to be doing all this. I want to be able to be so high up there that I could just give more to people. I'm a giver versus like for me, it doesn't take me much to be happy. Like materialistic things don't make me like, yeah, it makes me happy, but like it's not everything to me. But I would like to be able to help people like afford a home or help a teen like mom like help with like clothes for their kids or something, like little things like that, or like pay for kids that are unfortunate like to like have their haircuts and stuff like that. So yeah, just different ways of how I could help families, helping mothers have positive relationships with their kids too, not even just like little materialistic things, but like actually talking to them and like little ideas of how they could bond with their kids, how they could connect with them better and stuff like that, because it's a whole relationship in itself. But yeah, so I have a lot of goals, I have a lot that I want to do, and I'm just excited.
That's awesome. Well, let's do it. Why not? Why wait until you're successful? I think let's organize a food drive or something. I'll get with my team later today, and we'll set something up, and we'll put together a food drive. Why
awesome.
wait? We don't like, it doesn't take a lot of money to show others kindness, and to those listening, you know what time it is. You better be ready to give up all those non-perishable goods to help somebody else. And if you're not in a financial place to do that, that's okay too. Just sharing this episode with the world might just make more of a difference than you can ever imagine. Mm-hmm. Well, there's one thing I wanted to talk about as we wrap this up. The reason why I don't do serious intros with, how old are you? This is your name, blah, blah, is because I don't think that really can sum up who somebody is. A name doesn't identify someone's character, someone's fucking true will, their mental fortitude, the trauma, the trials, the tribulations that they experience and power through. I think that you just showed everybody who you are. Would you like to introduce yourself now?
Yeah, I'm Sariah Rain. I feel like I am passionate, I am kind, I am fearless, I am strong, and I have the capabilities and the willpower to do anything that I put my mind to. I have survived so much, and I am learning to be in a more of what was the word? I literally had it. A providing mindset versus surviving. Like I'm tired of just surviving to get by day to day. Like I want to provide. I want to provide a good, healthy environment. I want to provide love and laughter and light into my life and those around me. And I just wish nothing but greatness upon everybody that I come in contact with.
Wow.
So
well, that
is me.
exciting. Well, it's nice to meet you. I'm glad that we were able to do this so I can get a better understanding of who you are. I think it's having an episode like this. It's way more than just here's this person's life stories. Take with it what you will. People are going to be moved by your mindset post experiencing DV, your mindset post experiencing homelessness, your mindset growing up in a unsafe environment for any child, and no child should have to go through what you've experienced. And I'm so thankful that you decided to stay here on this earth with us so that you could to share that message of positivity, because shit, Lord knows we need it. Lord knows we need
seriously.
it. There's one song that your story reminds me of, and it's I'm Alive by Sia, and it's the acoustic version, because there's parts of the song where she's discussing her how people have tried to put her in the spots where she didn't where they didn't think that she would still be able to stand up out of being in these tough environments. And that's what, and I really do appreciate you sharing that message with the world, because people need to know that they can get the fuck out of whatever environment they're in when it is harmful. There's a lot of things I appreciate about you. I appreciate your care and concern for your children. I appreciate you being a fierce mother. I appreciate your relationship with your best friend. I appreciate your kind words that you put out, and your transparency on social media about celebrating the small victories and working on yourself. And I really do appreciate you sharing the most difficult parts of your life so that we can understand that there is, with really good perspective now, after listening to this episode, that there is another side and the grass can be greener. Without the low valleys, how high would these peaks feel? Not very high at all. They would just feel like a normal day. So thank you so much for sharing that with the world.
Honestly, it makes me cry, because I'm just so grateful to be the person that I am now and be able to feel valued and respected and being able to share my voice, because it's hard for me to express myself. I'm learning that. That's why I was doing my daily talks on Instagram and stuff. And it's just it's crazy for people to want to hear anything that I have to say, instead of being shut down, my voice doesn't matter and stuff. I feel valued, and I truly appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on here and talk and just be my most authentic self.
Yes, 100%.
This is very, very different for me.
I think it's really important that you recognize those moments where you do feel like that, because that's how you should feel normally. You should always feel like you have a voice. And the people in your life that have told you that you didn't have one, they're inhumane. They're evil. That evil is a word that gets thrown around a lot. Evil is not somebody who sucks at being a president. Evil is somebody who beats the life out of you.
And character.
And you're here still. You can validate every moment of that pain with your pride now, because after the pain does come the pride. When you work on yourself and you're able to re-identify who you are by your own standards instead of the world's. And I think that's where we can always find and identify beauty in life when life is at the worst. Last year, personally, I lost 24 friends to suicide. One, I had to clean up his apartment, and I was around his sister after it happened, and I was completely devastated. I still am devastated. The anniversary is right around the corner, and I'm thinking this week, man, that's coming up, and God, I'm going to go through the waves again. And I take so much value in the small things that I really do appreciate. Wow. How great is it that children's laughter makes me smile every time? How great is it that I get to have a conversation with somebody who is going to share the most meaningful parts of their life and why it was meaningful, even though it's fucking heartbreaking. That is where I find the value in every single day with small things. Honestly, so I really appreciate you coming on and saying that.
I love that you get to bring out this much of everybody. To be able to sit in your position and literally have these conversations with people. I would love to talk to people and find out their most deepest depths, just to see who they are. I feel when I go around day to day and stuff, when I have actual conversations with people, I try to find who they are truly. But I feel you have a spectacular special way to do it. Holy shit. You really are doing this.
I really do appreciate that. And I'd love to have you on as a guest host, and have you on again in the near future to talk about goals as you reach them personally, and just I want to start more group conversations. I have 4 microphones. There's not a reason why we shouldn't have panel discussions about life experiences. And
I would love that.
I think it's really important to have deep conversations with everybody. I don't know the last shallow conversation I've had. Every people passing by on the street, I ask them, like when I'm working on an escalator, I'll look up and someone will, hey, that looks kind of cool. And I say, hey, how's your day going, man? What's going on in your life? And that you'd be surprised who needs to talk.
That's what I'm trying to be
It's
more
really
like. I feel like I'm a very quiet person, but I can be very talkative when people like actually like open up, and like it opens me up more. But I feel like, I don't know, it's just like when I'm walking around, like I'm not trying to be that person that just like walks past. Like the other day, this lady, I totally thought she was somebody else. I was like, oh, hey, good morning. Long time no see. She was the wrong person.
Oh.
She's like, well, good morning to you too. She was like, it's nice to just hear somebody say good morning. I was like, well, good morning. I was like, sorry.
Authentic interactions. That's what we should all seek for in life.
Yeah, like I want to be like that person. Like I admire your ability to be able to talk to anybody about anything. Like I want to do that. I want to be more like that. Like
start today. Go out and talk to people.
Talking to random people,
especially.
Yeah.
There's so many. Everybody who walks in the gym is a great person. They're working on themselves. That is how that's a definition of greatness in my perspective. And other people might think great people don't just go walk into gyms. Great people walk into fucking gyms.
People are everywhere.
They're everywhere. Like they're everywhere.
Yeah. Like
so start talking to them. You'll learn so much more about yourself.
I'm inspired.
Well, after this, when you go and crush the gym, just start talking to random people in passing.
Yeah, my goal will be like maybe like try to make it like a one day or one time a day kind of thing, and like just adjust. Like it's all about adjusting like your mindset and everything, and like really feeling, I don't know, comfortable within yourself to be able to have these conversations. Like I don't know, I feel like a lot of people are very closed off and disconnected. Maybe they're disconnected from themselves, but like a conversation can help you connect with yourself and connect with others at the same time. So
it's absolutely correct.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that.
Do it. Start today.
Yeah.
Well, I really do appreciate your time and your candorous, values coming into this conversation. It's never easy to talk about things that we face, and you did it very gracefully. You didn't even choke up once. I got really
little baby tears.
I got tears are normal, but it takes a lot of strength to talk about what we go through. And I think you're an amazingly powerful and strong individual for being able to carry this conversation like that. It's really hard for people to talk about what they go through. And thank you for talking about domestic violence specifically, because it affects my family every day and it hurts me.
Yeah, it's really hard to go through.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate your time, and I'm so thankful for you being here, and I'm thankful for each and every one of you tuning in. This has been another episode of Off the Deep End Podcast. As always, our goal is to help you get some perspective. What the fuck can you power through in life when you have an understanding of what another has gone through? If she can come out of her personal circumstances and be the person that she is today, you can know truly that you can accomplish great and powerful things. And now you have another tool in your tool belt. There will be links in the description, as always, for this episode, because we did talk about domestic violence. If you are experiencing it, I already told you before, you're not alone. Click the link in the description. Let's get you some help. And if anything, just reach out. There's plenty of people who have great resources and your friends do care about you. And for the rest of my listeners, please do go down a link in the description and hit her up on Instagram. If you like what she said today, let's keep this conversation going on our Facebook page and in our daily lives. Share this episode with a friend, and let's have you on. Much love, y'all. Bye-bye.